What's up YouTube? Dale here from Zephyr, and today on the live stream what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ranking the Blue Eyes variants that I have been able to kind of put together or that I understand. Just for clarity, as XRT Shark does make a very good point about the Tachyon version, I want to only be able to provide you with my opinions on the variants that I've been able to build, test and play and know how they work in general. Otherwise, you know, I won't be able to give you my honest thoughts and feelings behind it. So, on the list, just so that everyone is clear, we start off with the Ritual version. So this is going to be like your Blue Eyes Chaos Max version. This will be your OTK enabler. This will be the version that revolves around Blue Eyes Chaos Max. Next up on the list will be the Metal Morph version. So this one I haven't actually profiled on the channel yet. It's coming out next week. But this one is all about how you use a very small Metal Morph engine that can work its way into that negate with the Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon by triggering off one of your Blue Eyes. And then on top of that as well, you also get the ability of your normal summon of your Black Metal Dragon or the Metal Illusionist, which can in turn link into your Blue Eyes Link 1, which is really kind of cool. Yeah, I try to stream on Saturday evenings, and I try to do it as many times as I can, but there's sometimes where I'm either at work or I don't get back in time, so yeah, I try and do it on Saturdays. Then, of course, we've got the Buster Blader variant. So the Buster Blader variant, the benefit of that one is that the Buster Whelp is a level 1 light tuner. So you can search it off of the back of Wishes. You can search it off the back of your Sage of Visor Blue. And it can be your additional normal summon. And the normal summon of the Buster Whelp leads you into the Buster combo, which basically sets you up with the Trap card, which works its way into Buster Dragon plus Buster Dragon, Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordsman. And then you can equip it with a Buster Whelp, which stops your opponent going into the extra deck. So very, very lock heavy. Then we've got the Centurion version. Now the Centurion version, basically because they're level 4 or lower spellcasters, they're the ones you can start your normal summon off with. Quite like the Invoked version, you can start with that engine and then work yourself into the Blue Eyes Link 1 and then work yourself out of the Blue Eyes Link 1 into your Blue Eyes combo while getting your access to your Centurion cards as you're working up, which gives you more direct access to level 12s. So it still kind of falls under a Synchro variant, but it gives you that ability to go into the higher level Synchros a lot more consistently. So rather than having to go Spirit Dragon into Crimson Dragon, you can just kind of like jump ahead a step and go straight into a Crimson Dragon, and then you can get into another level 12, which more times than not will be your Centurion monsters, and then you get to target them off. The best one is the Centurion Dragon monster, which the name has literally just escaped me. Centurion Dragon Synchro is not Axel. Auxilla, there you go. I knew it was something beginning with A and it had an X in it, so. Then, of course, we've got Pure Blue Eyes. I thought I would add Pure Blue Eyes to this one. Now, this one technically falls under the structure deck, but I thought that this one would be worth a mention to say, look, if you say, I don't want to play hand traps do not count as being pure in my mind, then you'd be playing Pure Blue Eyes, which means you'll be playing Master, you'll probably be playing Warrior, you'd be playing Abyss Dragon, Alternative, you name it, and you're only going to go full-on Pure Blue Eyes. Then I thought I'd give this one a mention. We've then got the Dragoon one. Now, the Dragoon video I did yesterday, this was obviously inspired by a suggestion from a viewer who basically said he uses the Soul package to work their way into Dark Magician, and then you get Abyss Dragon, which works you into the Polymerization, so that you can then fuse into a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon as you're building up your board, and your end board can also add you a Secret Village of the Spellcasters by going through the Ancient Fairy Dragon. So your end board is Dragoon, Crystal Wing, and an Ancient Secret Village of the Spellcasters that can lock you out. Can I play a single copy of Blue Eyes? Depending on what variant you're playing, you very well could do. Then, of course, we've got the Invoked version. Now, the Invoked version is the normal summon of Alistar, working your way into the Macabre, because the benefit of something like that is you can turn your Alistar into the Link 1 Blue Eyes. Quite like I said with the Centurion version, you're able to bridge from one engine to the other, which is really kind of nice. And then, of course, you add the Macabre to give you that protection. Then we have the Primite one, so obviously this is the most hyped version of the entire deck just because it has so much resource recurability. The Primite Beryl Dragon is, of course, quite like Invoked, quite like Centurions, but they're not lights and they're not dark, so a little bit more Beastial immune, can work your way into your Link 1. And off the back of that as well, it also gives you the ability to grab out your Primite Drill Beam, which can be a negate of any card on the field, and Lordy Load, which gives you more access to your Blue Eyes monsters. Then we've got 3 of the Blue Eye structure decks. So this is like your budget version. If you are literally going to put 3 Blue Eye structure decks, the difference between this and the Blue Eyes build is that this one will be no hand traps whatsoever. This will be only using the structure decks. Then we have the Beastial version. Now, of course, the Beastials can be merged with Primites. It can be merged with other elements as well. But when I'm talking about the Beastial version, we are literally talking 3 Lubellion, 1 Regained, 3 Druid Swarm, or 2 to 3 Druid Swarm, plus Magnamu, maybe a Saronir and a Baldrake. So you're going heavy on the Beastials. Then we've got the Synchro version. So this one is going to focus on, of course, Crimson Dragon, but this is also going to be like the Synchro version I showed you previously this week, where you end up using stuff like Assault Synchron, you work your way into Chaos Angel, Beastial Dispatter, you name it, you've got all those different options. The Horus variant, of course, is pretty much what it says on the tin. The best thing about the Blue Eyes deck is it is only like a 20 card deck, and then you get 10 cards of hand traps, 10 cards of additional engine if you want it, or just 20 hand traps, entirely up to you. The idea with the Horus engine is it does increase its aggressive consistency going second. Going first, it sets up rank 8 protection. It gives you a bit more rank 8 spam, but you do need to be a little bit careful about your hand allocation. The Light and Darkness Dragon is a version that is a little bit more new to me, but the idea is that you're going to end your board on the Light and Darkness Dragon, and then off the back of the Light and Darkness Dragon, you'll also be able to add Spirit Dragon on it, which will be a 2-card combo. But what happens here is your Light and Darkness Dragon uses all of its negates first, and then you get the ability of using your Spirit Dragon to tag out, and it gives you that additional benefit of being able to chain block most of your effects. So if your opponent does have like a Ghost Ogre, if your opponent does have an Ash Blossom, most of the stuff off of the back of your Light and Darkness Dragon can chain block it, which is really important because it is a mandatory when effect as well. So that's all the different versions, and then I've also been asked by Bearded Puck to add a maybe even Branded Beast. So yes, you can add Branded Beast into the Beastial version as well if you want to. So you have loads of different options, which is really kind of cool. And that does give you a lot of different options to work around with. It really is up to you on how much of the branded element you want to add. Okay, so we're currently like 7 minutes into the video and I haven't placed anything anywhere. So let's start with the Chaos Max one. Now, the Chaos Max one, in my opinion, is a very aggressive version. However, I feel that we are well past the time where, like, Chaos Max is still a very scary boss monster. Like, as main deck boss monsters go, Chaos Max is one of the scariest, probably second only to, in my opinion, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, just because Ultimate Conductor Tyranno just goes flip and flip the entire board down, and then it does attack, burn for 1,000, attack, burn for 1,000. So, like, sending it is so good. So with something like this, I feel that it could definitely catch a lot of people off at the local environment. The issue is, to fit everything in the deck, to be able to get to your ritual spell is relatively easy, but to get to your Blue Eyes Chaos Max can be a little bit trickier. That's where it can kind of get a little bit awkward, because being able to get to your Blue Eyes Chaos Max means you need to add additional cards into it, whether it be Melody of the Awakening Dragon, whether it be Bingo Machine Go, whether you want to play a Dogmatica package, which I could very easily add to this list as well, but I feel it kind of takes it away and fits within the ritual element. To put in so much resource, you need to be going second with the deck. The one big thing that the Chaos version deck has now is the fact that it can go first and still produce a fairly decent Blue Eyes board, and then go, you know what, my second turn, after I've searched out my Chaos Max and everything else, I'm going to push in for the OTK. And that's where Abyss Dragon comes into play a little bit more. It's one of the ones that you'll get more benefits if you do get to go first, but on the flip side of it, it can be quite difficult to resolve consistently going second. That being said, the way that I kind of see it, I'm not going to put it in value for money, which it is very cheap and easy to do. But I feel that your value for money is in this grey area between local contender and competitive, where you're not spending a huge amount of money. So with the Chaos Max build, I feel that it's definitely a local contender. Like, if you took this to a local environment and you've played it and you've understood it correctly and you've built it the right way, maybe you want to play the incantations in a 60-card version, which you could do. That's where you'll get the most from it. Irvin Zamoik has asked, can I play with single copy Blue Eyes but add Speedroids? Do they work together? Not really, because I think most of the Speedroids cards want to lock you into wins, whereas Blue Eyes being all light can be quite a tricky lock to deal with. So, the Max Metamorph version. Now, the Max Metamorph version, what I love about it is it has that synergistic starter. So whether you're going to be using your Metal Illusionist, whether you're going to be using your Red Black Metal Dragon, they are your great starters that work you into your Blue Eyes Link 1. The Blue Eyes Link 1 then gets you to your Mausoleum, and then all you need to do is hard open up something like a Sage or a Maiden, ideally the Sage, and you get that additional normal summon to go. Once you've worked your way through the Illusionist, or whether you've worked your way through the Black Metal Dragon, this will then get you into your Max Metamorph. Through your normal standard combo, you should be able to get a Blue Eyes to the board, and when you get a Blue Eyes to the board, being able to activate a Max Metamorph can be very important, because you tribute off your Blue Eyes, and then straight away you go, cool, tribute off a Blue Eyes, get back out the Red Eyes Black Metal, and this then gives you that nice little negate, which is really important. The other benefit of something like that is it means you can also protect your true light. And the one additional benefit you're going to get is if you leave your true light face up on your opponent's board, you always have that ability, once there is a blue eyes either in your hand or graveyard, to activate the true light, bring it back, activate the max metamorph, tribute off the blue eyes, bring out a negate. So you're basically turning a blue eyes into a negate, which is really, really kind of cool. On top of that as well, when you do something along those lines, you're setting up your protection, but because the max metamorph cards can always recycle certain elements from the graveyard, that's where if you do see your Metal Illusionist later on, you can activate the Metal Illusionist to add that back from the grave. You also have the ability of playing the Machine Incoming, which is the spell card, which again lets you add back either the Metal Illusionist, add back the Red Eyes, or add back the Max Metamorph back to the hand so you can go again the next turn. So its consistency is actually really kind of cool, and it is such a small investment in the engine as well, price-wise and the amount of space you take up. So it's really kind of a cool option. I would say that it's value for money because I feel that it can definitely contend at locals. I don't feel that it's competitive, but I feel you could get a full Metal Morph engine or element to the deck for like 10 quid, add that to your already built structure deck, and you can still catch a lot of people off guard. Being able to add that on Mitigate, yes, of course it says to them, ash this card right now, but if your opponent ashes that card, you're absolutely fine because you'll still be able to add all of this to your normal end board. It's quite like on the same level as Invoked. And what I mean by that is if they use any of their hand traps on your Alistar, you're still able to build your board. You're still able to go. That's the whole idea behind it, is that your normal summon engine is baiting out all of these hand traps. If they open up multiple ashes, then so be it. But at the end of the day, they would have dropped an ash during your turn and then an ash during their turn. And they're already going to be down to 4 cards at that point. Not to mention any other hand traps they might have interacted with you with. And you can very easily build through a lot of boards just by going normal summon Alistar or normal summon Black Metal Dragon into the Link 1, Chain Link 1, and then Black Metal Dragon Chain Link 2. They then can't ash your Blue Eyes Link 1. They need to imperm it. If they imperm it, your then Black Metal resolves, still giving you access to your trap card. And then if your Link 1 has been impermed or veiled, you can still extend because it's not Dragon Locked you because all of its effects are negated. They can't ash it because you've chain blocked it with the Black Metal Dragon. And if they ash the Black Metal Dragon, you go, cool, I've got my Mausoleum. I just go full Blue Eyes combo now anyway. So it's a really kind of cool variant, a really kind of cool option, and it is incredibly cheap. Like 10 quid, that's it, done. $10 possibly as well on the other side of the pond. That straight away will get you your build, and I feel it will catch a lot of people off. Buster Blader version. Now, the Buster Blader version is one of my favourite versions, and I'm definitely put it in competitive. I wouldn't say it's value for money because I feel that right now, because of the increase in the Buster Whelps, like the Buster Whelps are like £10 to £15 a copy, it's not on the same value for money as something like the Max Metamorph. I feel that building a Max Metamorph, if you spend $10, that's it, you've got the deck on top of the structure decks. But with Blue Eyes, you need to add an additional $30 to probably $50 just to complete it. Now, if you've already got them, absolutely fine. But it still, in my opinion, doesn't fall under value for money. But the deck is still massively competitive. Now, the reason the deck is massively competitive is the direct synergy that both the engines have. Whether you start with the Buster Whelp and get your access to your Buster Blader cards and then turn it into the Blue Eyes Link 1 and then go from Blue Eyes cards from that point on, great. If you do it the other way around, which is one of the very few variants that lets you start with either or, and what I mean by that is if you start with Primite, if you start with Centurion or you start with Invoked, you have to normal summon your Invoked, your Centurion, or your Primite. They have to be the first card you summon because the additional summon is only for a level 1 light tuner, which is where the Buster Bladers get that additional benefit because if you do add the Buster Whelp off of a Wishes later on in the turn or later on in the combo, you can still normal summon it and gain access to your entire Buster Blader engine. The biggest weakness of the Buster Blader version is that it has to go first because it sets up all its trap cards. And now I'm not saying it can't go second at all, but what I mean by that is you have to break your opponent's board and then set up the Buster Lock. So it means you haven't been able to OTK. Whereas I feel that Blue Eyes deck can naturally OTK on its own quite easily because it gets direct access to Indigo Eyes, which can help you OTK. It also has access to go into the Tyrant Dragon, which can then attack all of your opponent's monsters, and then whatever else you've added to the board can then finish the game off from that point on. So it has its own capabilities to OTK, but the Buster Blader variant itself has to go first because it sets those trap cards and then it uses those trap cards during your opponent's turn to set up the lock. It's one of the ones that if it goes first and it goes off uninterrupted, it's nearly impossible you're going to be able to break it. If it doesn't go first or it constantly gets interacted with, then you're going to struggle a little bit more. So it's definitely something you need to keep in mind when you're putting it together. It's definitely competitive. I saw Scott, shout out for Scott today, piloted it today. And it's just one of the ones that it goes off incredibly well, very, very powerful. And if you, the best thing about it is either you start off with the Buster Welt and they interact with that and you go, okay, cool, whatever, I'm not going to shift the Blue Eyes. Or you start off with Blue Eyes and then shift the Buster Welt and they're like, holy crap, what is this? And then they keep going. So really do like the Buster Blader version. Is there a version of Blue Eyes where you can use grass? I mean, you can play a 60 card version if you want to, but honestly, like, I don't think there's anything that you mill that you want the benefit of with Blue Eyes. That's just in my opinion. Colin McCrundy, I love the look of the Synchro Blue Eyes deck. I'm waiting on my Assault Synchrons. Nice. Is the Synchro version still going to be all right without Crimson Dragon? Because I don't want to spend $30 or 30 euros on that in case it's due a reprint. I mean, it's definitely due a reprint. Whether it's going to be in Maze of Master or whether it's going to be in Stampede, probably more likely going to be in Stampede than anything else. Hello, said from France. So the Synchro version can definitely play without Crimson Dragon, because the best thing about the Synchro version is the Synchro version opens up the doors to level 10s. And when you're starting to get access to level 10s, you start opening up the door to Chaos Angel, which is incredibly powerful. You've got Beastial Dispatter. You've got the Gen X, which I highly advise you getting if you're going to go down that route. And then when you do something like that, what you would do is offer the Spirit Dragon, rather than working your way into Crimson Dragon, is you would actually go Spirit Dragon into either Ancient Fairy Dragon. You'd go into, and I've actually got them to one side. You'd go into Ancient Fairy Dragon. You'd go into Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Or you'd also go to, also go into your Lightstorm Dragon. So your Lightstorm Dragon is a level 9, I believe. So your Lightstorm Dragon is a level 9. So if you add an Effect Veiler to this gets you into any level 10 Synchro that you're already playing. The Black Rose Moonlight is a level 7. So you add any level 1 tuner to that, and that gives you access to your Crystal Wing. Another one that I also advise you playing if you're going to go without Crimson Dragon is the Michael. And the reason you go for Michael is that Michael is a level 7 light that you can also summon off your Spirit Dragon. And this lets you banish any card in the field for the price of 1,000 life points. So yes, it can be done without Crimson Dragon. There are ways to play it, which I think is really kind of cool. Okay, the next version is Centurion. Now, Centurion, as I've mentioned previously, I really do like what it can add together, because the benefit of the Centurion one is the Centurion gives you the ability, quite like the Synchro version, and I'll do these side by side. Quite like the Synchro version, but the Synchro version lets you get access to level 10s, whereas the Centurions let you get access to your level 12s. It's going to be a bit more expensive, so again, it doesn't fall under value for money, but the benefit of something like this is when you've got a starter that can bridge into your Blue Eyes, it gives you that ability to start off with your Centurions, your opponent starts interacting with them, and then you start shifting into your Blue Eyes engine. Now, the biggest issue with the Centurions is there are parts where you do end up locking yourself into Synchros. Once that happens, you are in a bit of trouble because you want to be getting into that Link 1. That's where it kind of has the same feeling as the branded version. So the branded version will lock you into fusions, whereas the Centurion version will lock you into Synchros. You've got to be very, very careful. But the benefit of something like the Centurions is that they are level 4 tuners. They are spellcasters. So they can also, when you add a Blue Eyes to the board, get you straight into a Crimson Dragon. They can also work their way into an Auxilia. The Auxilia can then, of course, be that level 12 target for your Crimson Dragon. And you basically just build off the back of that. So getting locked into Synchros is not the end of the world, but it does make you have a couple of different routes to kind of consider. So it's definitely something you want to look for. Now, I'm not saying it's a local contender, because I think it could be better, but I feel that it's probably one of the better local contenders, because I feel that you would be better off playing Centurions pure on its own. And then, if you're not playing Centurions pure on its own, I feel you'd be better off playing the Synchro version of Blue Eyes. So it's a good deck, but I feel that it's a combination that you would be putting together for the sake of it, not that you needed to. I feel if you were play Centurions on their own, you'd get a bit more success, and if you were to play Blue Eyes Synchro, you'd get more success. Good evening, Fish Kudar. Jay, the Crimson Dragon plays are very strong. However, you walk straight into Nibiru every time with that play, so you can absolutely play more mid-range than combo heavy. Frog the Kaiju, I'm convinced Invoked Blue Eyes White Dragon is the second best variant other than Primite. While Primite is obviously better, it doesn't justify the price being tenfold of what it improves. You have got ahead of me, but yes, I played Invoked today at Locals, and I did feel that it did incredibly well. I ended up getting third place to it. My only loss was to Blue Eyes Primite, but it kind of came down to game 1, I played quite well. Game 2, he played really well. He played around the Lightning Storm like to perfection. And then game 3, I just bricked like a mudder, and it just didn't really go anywhere. So cool. So that being said, the Synchro version of Blue Eyes, I'm going to be putting it straight up with competitive. I feel it's probably a little bit better than the Buster Blader version. And the reason I think it's better than the Buster Blader version is because it has that balance of going first and second a little bit more consistently. As Jay has said in the chat, the biggest issue of the Crimson Dragon route is that it does run headfirst into Nibiru. It doesn't have any direct protection straight away from it, because by the time you've worked your way into the first Spirit Dragon and then the second Spirit Dragon, when you tag out the first Spirit Dragon to a Crimson Dragon, and then tag the second one into the Blue Eyes Ultimateness, your opponent's going to activate Nibiru, and then straight away, that's it. You can't really do anything. So they're going to either stop you getting into, like, if you go Spirit Dragon into Crimson, and you've got your second Spirit Dragon there, they're going to Nibiru you. If you go... That's annoying. If you go first... Cut my finger. If you go first Spirit Dragon into the Dragon of Ultimateness, they're going to Nibiru you, and then you go, okay, cool, chain my second Spirit Dragon. Your Spirit Dragon chains gets you into Crimson, but because you're halfway through a chain, it's all going to get nibbed. So, yeah, completely right with that one. Next one is Pure Blue Eyes. Now, I feel like Pure Blue Eyes, no hand traps, no nothing. You're only going to be building it for casual fun. And when I say Pure Blue Eyes, which is why the second, the budget one is next, is you are playing no hand traps. So you are specifically going out of your way to play it as Pure Blue Eyes, to play it as, like, you know what you're doing is what I'm saying with that one. I'll talk about the Invoked in a second. Hold your horses, because it's one of my favourites right now. The Blue Eyes Structure deck is definitely a local contender, and the reason I like it as a local contender, and I'd probably arguably put it a bit above the Blue Eyes, is because it has the hand traps, it has the starters, it has the extenders, it has the aggression, it has everything it needs to compete. The only thing it's missing is some probably very cheap and easy staple cards from the extra deck. So that's where it kind of works out nicely, is that you've got so many different options when you're getting involved with just playing the structure decks, that it gives you everything you really need. You would just go down like an Azurized Protection route. You would go down a Ultimateness negation route. You've got routes into Triple Burst, which is a real, not Triple Burst, sorry. The Twin-Headed Dragon, because that one, not being able to destroy by battle, is really, really good. Khan has pretty much just reiterated exactly what I've said about the Buster Blader variant. It's very good variant, but it does brick, and it's bad going second. Like, that is the issue with it. So, okay, the next one is the Dragoon version. I feel the Dragoon version is a local contender. It's a little bit, I would say it's got a bit more synergy than the Centurion version, but I feel the Centurion version will carry the deck a little bit further than the Blue Eyes, the Dragoon one, so I'm probably going to put it here. Dragoon is kind of like a win more variant, and what I mean by that is, you're not really getting to your Dragoon before your 5th summon consistently. But you do put your opponent in a position where you're like, okay, cool, well, if you do Nibiru me here, I'm going to work my way into a Dragoon and there's nothing you can do. Because you get to a position where you go Sage, get Abyss Dragon. As soon as you get Abyss Dragon, you put your opponent in this position of Nibiru me now, or I'm making Dragoon. If you do Nibiru me, you know I've got Dark Magician on the board. So if you Nibiru me now, that's it, I can't get Dragoon. If you don't Nibiru me now, I still have access to Blue Eyes. I hold back my True Light. I hold back Dragon's Roar. So when I get to that particular point, if you Nibiru me, I still have True Light and I still have Roar that's going to add my Blue Eyes back to the board, which still lets me get into a Spirit Dragon and a Blue Eyes on the board. And you'll still have a hard card of a Polymerization in the hand as well. So it's very, very aggressive. It can go first. It can go second. The benefit of being able to pop and burn one of your opponent's cards is really important. It has so much aggressive reach. It has that defensive option. And then when you add the Spirit Dragon to it, which leads you into the Ancient Fairy Dragon, which leads you into the Sacred Village of the Spellcasters, to then say to your opponent when you end your board, quite like the Buster Blader version, you can't use spells. I've got an Omni Negate in the form of the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And then on top of that as well, I've also got a Crystal Wing. It's very, very damaging. It can go second better than the Buster Blader version, but it doesn't have as much of a direct bridge. And the Buster Blader says you can't access the extra deck, which is very, very tricky for your opponent to break after that point. Whereas with the Dragoon and the Secret Village, it's like, oh, if they normal summon a spellcaster, then they don't care about Secret Village. So it's a bit of a catch-22 on that one. Ido has asked, putting 3 Assault Synchrons into the Beastial variant will help the deck. I mean, I wouldn't say it would help the deck massively, but the best thing that would happen is you've got the ability to... You can open up some Synchro level... You get more Synchro level 10s. You can open up the option for Synchro level 8s. I honestly don't think you need to. I mean, I would just play the Synchro version, and you're already going to be playing a small Beastial variant anyway. Like, most of these decks, when I talk about, like, the Beastial variant, as I mentioned at the start of the video, is full Beastial. It's literally, you play 3 Lubellion, you'll play 1 Regained, you might play 1 Branded Beast, you'll play 1 Baldrake, 1 Saronir, at least 1 to 2 Druid Swarm, and then Magnemoots. You'd play a lot of it. That's what I count as the Beastial variant. Okay, moving on to my my favourite one right now is the Invoked version. Artwork's amazing, Invoked engine, amazing, plays, amazing. So, there was a question that came up about it. Bear with me 2 seconds. Does Invoked have enough utility going second? Yes, it does. And the one thing that I did today when I played the Invoked version without playing is I didn't play Purgatrio, because I was like, you know what? Purgatrio, yes, it does the piercing damage, which is a big difference between that and the Tyrant Dragon, but I had Tyrant Dragon to deal with all my opponent's monsters. That being said, the amount of times I got ashed and the amount of times I ashed my opponent, I felt that Purgatrio would put in a huge amount of work for me. So that is tempting to put that back in. That being said, Macabre does enough. Macabre is absolutely insane, because so many people are fearful of it that they choose to negate the Macabre rather than negating the Spirit Dragon or anything else you might have on the board. So it's a very good bait option. It's a very good option where they go, oh, I need to negate that, or oh, I need to stop that. And when they do that, everything else runs free. And the best thing about it is, if they negate the Macabre and they can't get rid of it, it's going to come back to bite them, because then I've got all of my plays are protected during the next turn. I won a duel today because I had Macabre on the board and I had 2 Alistairs in the hand, and I went battle phase, Macabre, drop 2 Alistairs, go up to 45. It also gives you that opponent that if your opponent negates the Macabre and forgets about the Alistair ditch to increase attack in the hand, you can cause them issues. So the one big thing that I'd want to change is put Purgatrio back in my list. But honestly, I don't want to say that it's meta, because I feel that only one of these decks is actual meta. But I feel that Invoked is definitely the best of the competitive options, in my opinion. Because it can go first, it can go second. It's so good at being able to protect against Nib. It's so good about being able to banish the cards as well. There are some cards where players want them in the graveyard, and you're like, no, I'm going to banish it instead. It can cause them a lot of issues. The fact with Blue Eyes is you actually have a lot of cards. So there might be a time where you open up True Light. So you can actually hold the True Light for when your opponent tries to imperm you, and you go Macabre, negate with the True Light, and then you get to go Maiden, add the True Light, or place the True Light back from the grave, which is really kind of cool. The other benefit about the Invoked engine is that straight away, a normal summon Alistair works you all the way into a Macabre, because it gets to turn Alistair into the Link 1 Blue Eyes. You get yourself into a Macabre, and then off of the back of that, you add the Alistair back to the hand. So what you've just added to your board, which is the Link 1 in the graveyard, you'd have a Blue Eyes on the board, you've got Mausoleum on the board, you've got Macabre in the board, you then add the Alistair back to the hand, you've got all of that for free. If you then go normal summon Sage as your additional normal summon, and then start to build the rest of your Blue Eyes board, your opponent's going to be like, what the hell? So, ratios for the Invoked version is 3 Alistair, 3 Meltdown, 2 Invocation, and 1 Terraforming. And the Terraforming actually comes in clutch, because the Terraforming allows me to get access to Mausoleum as well. I'm highly considering playing Set Rotation, just because it'd be really funny to activate Set Rotation and replace my opponent's Mausoleum with a Meltdown. Now, obviously, it would suck if they're playing Meltdown themselves, but it's another way to get to Mausoleum, because there's so many times where your opponent stops you getting to Mausoleum through the Link 1. That was something that I witnessed, both me against my opponent and my opponent against me, was they kept trying to stop the Link 1. So, I mean, it's not even a you can, if you can add hand traps. Like, my build has enough space to play, so I played 2 Beastials, 2 Veilers, 2 Nibiru, so that's 6, 2 Ghost Ogres, that's 8, 9, 10, 11 with Ashes, 12, 13, 14. I was able to add 14 hand traps, which is crazy. So, the reason for 2 Invocation over 1 is if you open up one of your Invocations and you normal summon an Alistair, use the effect to search the second one and they interact with it, you're good. You're golden. You're like, yeah, cool, legally activated it, that's fine. So it's a great hand trap bait out. It also gives you that option to hard draw the Invocation. So if you do have to use Alistair to negate in the hand, or you use it to buff the attack, you can activate Invocation and banish. So there's a couple of times today where I hard open up the Invocation and I went I hard open up the invocation with the Alistar. Normal summon the Alistar, baited out a hand trap, and then, or the other way that I did it is if I was trying to play around a Beastial, I just went, okay, cool, activate normal summon Alistar, search out invocation, it gets negated. I activate invocation in the hand that I'd already hard opened, banish the Alistar from the field, which means they can't Beastial me because it's not in the grave. So, thoughts on Ancient Fairy Dragon and Secret Village with Invoked? With the Invoked version, no, because your Macabra's a machine. Your Alistar's not the strongest spellcaster. The big benefit that you have with Secret Village in the Dragoon version is that Dragoon is a fat stack powerhouse spellcaster for your opponent to deal with. And if they do deal with that, you have True Light to bring back the Maiden, because you bring back Blue Eyes, which bring back the Maiden. And then your opponent can't attack the Maiden because they have to attack the Maiden to kill it. And the Maiden just goes, cool, bring back your Sage or your Master. So that's the one big benefit of something like that. You can play it. If you were to play Ancient Fairy in the deck, which isn't the worst option, because you would play Ancient Fairy and Ancient Fairy would destroy the Mausoleum. The issue is once you destroy the Mausoleum, you need to be guaranteed that you're going to win, because as soon as you get rid of that Mausoleum, you can't really get it back. It can be a little bit tricky to get back. So that's one thing you do need to be very, very careful of. Okay, moving on to the next one. The next one's Primite. I'm not going to spend too much on this one. It's meta. Now, personally, as I'm playing it and looking at it and seeing it, I wouldn't class it as being that big of a jump from the Synchro version, the Alistar version, and the Buster Blader version. It's not. It's definitely better, no argument, but it's not like, oh, okay, I can build a Synchro version. For example, I can build a Synchro version, a Buster Blader version, or an Invoked version for a £50 investment on either one, maybe a little bit more. But to build the Primite version, you need to add 200 quid. It's like 50 quid, 200 quid, 50 quid, 200 quid. Do I think that the Primite version is £150 better than Invoked, Synchro, or Buster Blader? In my opinion, no. In other people's opinion, it probably is. But what the Primite version does is it's pretty much the same as the Centurion version, the Invoked version. It gives a brand new starter to the deck. The benefit is that starter leads you into any card effect negate. It can lead you into a Lordy Load, which gets you into that negate, but can also get you a Blue Eyes to the board if you want to add a Synchro to your board and you're not worried about Nibiru, or they've already Nibiru'd you and you go, you know what, I don't care, bring back a Blue Eyes, bring back Maiden, Synchro, off I go. So it gives you great stacks of consistency. And then on top of that as well, the fact that the Primite Beryl and Drill Beam can constantly keep looping themselves around, that's where it gets disgustingly bad. So that's the additional £150 that you're paying for, is you're paying for consistency by £150. That's what you're doing. So it's just too good. The Lord that it adds, or the Lordy Load that it adds, the Drill Beam and the Beryl, they're all incredibly good. But I personally, like, if you picked up your free Lordy Loads for £3 each back in the day and the Drill Beam for £1, and then were able to pick up the Beryls when they dipped to £20 each, well worth it. 100% worth it, and you wouldn't even be questioning this. You'd be playing the Primite version all day long. If you were like, what version should I build right here, right now? You're not going to go, I'm not going to pay 200. I would say to you, don't pay 200 quid for a Primite version. Pay 50 quid for an Invoked version. That's what I would say, personally. Because a lot of people are so used to normal summon Beryl and they go interact with Beryl. Whereas when you go normal summon Alistar, they're like, they're still playing you in 2025? What the hell? And then you're like, yeah, Macabre. And they're like, yeah, I remember this card. This card's a pain in the ass to deal with. So, okay. Keeping in mind as well, any of these variants, you can add a Beastial variant to, a small Beastial package to it. Like in my Invoked version, I play 2 Beastials. In a Primite version, you could afford to play more. The one big benefit of the Primite version as well is because Beryl is an Earth, it's not a Beastial target, so it can be really, really easily. It can be really, really annoying to deal with because there's no way to stop it. Like Bar plays something like DD Crow to DD Crow out the Beryl, so it doesn't come back during your next standby phase. Can be quite annoying. So the Beastial version. Now the Beastial version is, as I said at the start, this is including loads of Beastials, like the whole lot of Beastials. Free Lubellion, which is why I've used the Lubellion picture, the Regained, the probably Banded Beast if you wanted to, plus the Saranir, Baldrake, Druid Swarm, and Magnemute. This is like everything. I feel that it's competitive. There's no doubt about it. I think it has a very good matchup against Malice when it gets access to the Regained, because obviously just spinning their cards back or putting their cards back when they're banished can be massively damaging. I still personally think the Invoked version is better, because I feel if you go into a format, I feel the Beastials are format specific, and what I mean by that is your Fiendsmiths are your Beastials are relying on lights and darks. They get more benefit if your opponent is playing lights and darks. If your opponent is not playing lights and darks, straight away you consider subbing them out. So I feel that straight away it becomes a little bit more awkward. The one big benefit about the Invoked version is you can just get rid of, like, so many people are on lights right now, you can just banish their lights. So if you wanted to play different versions or different attribute fusion monsters, you could do. Heart Haze Gaming, I've got Drill Beams, 2 Lordy Loads so far. My second barrel is orders on the way. Goblin Slayer, White Forest Azamina Blue Eyes is a good deck and a fun one of that. I personally haven't seen a version of it yet, but I would like to. That'd be quite interesting. As long as it's not like, oh yeah, we play 30 White Forest cards and 5 Blue Eyes cards. I'm like, bruh. Primite version is the worst build for Blue Eyes. My one structure deck be the Primite version. I think it's because of all the misplays most Primite players do. I mean, I can't speak for the pilot. Like, I faced a good pilot on the Primite version today, and I can see where the deck is good. I can see where the deck causes issues. I can see where it... Like, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's the best version in the entire world. It's top tier. It's better than Ryziel. It's better than Malice. It's the most highest... Like, it is just the one that is the strongest in regards to resource, little investment in regards to like how much you put on the board, how much you need to involve in it, and everything else from that back point on. That's in my opinion. I only have 1 Lordy Load, but for the rest of the engine, any ideas of what I can replace them while I wait for the other 2 Lordy Loads? I mean, the issue is you would need to max out on your barrels at that point just so you get your consistency. Which icon is value for money in vote? No, the icon that is in value for money is the Metamorph, because I feel you could build a Metamorph version for like the structured X plus $10, and it's still incredibly good because its normal summon works really well. It synergizes with the Blue Eyes cards, and it doesn't cost you a whole arm and a leg to build. Beastial variant is good, but now many Ryziel player back to pure version. Malice don't care about it. Exactly. So that's kind of where the Beastials get their biggest bump, is when you go to an environment where they play loads of lights and darks, you get so much more for it. Where are we? What do you think of 1 Invoked Agedes? I played 1 Invoked Agedes and then I took it out because I very rarely made it. I would much rather, when I'm in that position, make a second Macabre than I would make an Agedes. The Agedes is fine, and if you want to play it, by all means you can do, no issues about it. But I found in my first version I was playing Agedes and I was playing Kaliga. In my second version I was playing just two Macabre. And it worked out so much better for me because the extra deck was quite tight. But then when I look at the extra deck, there are a couple of cards that I could sub out. And the next one I'd want to go for would probably be Purgatrio over an Agedes, just because it's a bit more aggressive. Yes, I like the Agedes can get its attack buff up and it can get the pop. But I feel Purgatrio does that better because he lets you kill all of them. According to the leaks, we should get the new support in Master Duel. I wonder which version you think would be the best in there. If I'm being honest with you, I don't play Master Duel enough to provide correct feedback on that. So I just feel that the Master Duel format is so different to current game format, like actual TCG format. The fact it's not best two out of 3 does make it a little bit difficult. The fact that I think like Exodia's meta, right? I think the last time I saw something, Exodia was meta in Master Duel. You've also got to deal with Maxi, and I think you've got to deal with Floros as well, right? So it's a lot more difficult. Like you change quite a lot when you get the Master Duel variant. And I suppose the big... you get... like Magia is legal. Like you can get Magia in Master Duel, right? I'll let someone answer that. How many Spirit and Ultimate Spirit do you tend to play? So Ultimate Spirit is 1, normal Spirit is 2. So you only need one. You only need one Ultimate Spirit Dragon. A Spirit Dragon you can play 2 to 3. I think 2 is kind of fine. In the grind game, you really want a 3rd. Elysium. I can't remember Elysium. Invoked. Can't remember what I mean by that is I can't remember its requirements. What was its requirements? One invoke monster, one monster. Ah, so this is the issue. I remember this. Elysium can only be summoned with a monster that is on the field that has been special summoned from the extra deck that turn, which is really annoying. This card is also Dark, Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind. Quick effect, target an invoke monster you control or in the graveyard, banish it, and all monsters your opponent controls are the same attribute. I mean, that effect's really kind of cool. But yeah, I remember that being the issue, is you have to sacrifice one of your on-field extra deck monsters to get to it, which is really annoying. Okay, where are we at? So, the next one we're going to be talking about is the Horus one. So, I've pretty much already touched on this one. So, this was suggested by, and I'm going to try and scroll back on the chat. This was suggested by XYZ Dark. So, after a bit of convincing, I've kind of put this one together. Oh, here we go. Exodia in Master Duel was meta only in an event with a custom ban list. Otherwise, it's road it. Right, got you. Thoughts on a mini Buster package with Primite. Imperial Dragon is an extra hand trap that kind of pop off if you have Buster Dragon on the board. Honestly, I don't think you need the Imperial Dragon, but the mini Buster package is right here. Like, you can play the Buster package at either 3 Whelps, 1 of each of the traps, 1 Buster Whelp, and 1 Buster Blader, so 7. Or you can cut it down to play 1 Whelp, 1 trap, one Whelp, 1 of each trap, 1 Destruction Whelp, and 1 Buster Blader. So you can cut it down to 5 at the base minimum. Also, Fiends with Blue Eyes is not bad at all. I don't know what the version of Blue Eyes would be good. I am not, so I sent this at the start of the video. I'm not going to put Fiendsmith Blue Eyes up on this because I can't see, and someone might be able to correct me, where the Fiendsmiths are a general synergistic option. If you just say to me, well, basically what you do is you put Fiendsmith in here, so if you get stopped completely, you just go full Fiendsmith combo. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to, like, these are fun, these are good. Like, go and play Invoked. Don't spend, if you're going to put £200 into the deck, you're probably going to want to put it into Primites than you are going to be Invoked, because, not Invoked, sorry, Fiendsmith, because Fiendsmiths are definitely getting hit before Primites, 100%. Like, your investment of money at that price level is going to be so much more secure than for Primites than it is for Fiendsmith. So I wouldn't waste your money on Fiendsmith, in my opinion. I'm thinking about Horus version, but draw is a problem. If draw is that big of an issue for you, which is what I thought was going to be the case today, you played cross out. So, I mean, okay, you draw off of a Neko Quip by using the level 1. That's very weak. Very, like, to do something, to pay £200 to play the Invoked, to play the Fiendsmith engine to draw a card is very, very weak, in my opinion. Like, I'm not going to pay 200 quid to do that. I'll pay 200 quid to play the Primite engine that gets me into a Drill Beam Negate, a Lordy Load. I'm not going to pay £200 for that, in my opinion. Like, that's what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do it, especially with an engine that is going to get absolutely neutered on the ban list. Whether it be this ban list or the next one, that engine is definitely not going to last as long as Primites. Mitoma Go Fund. Can I ask you, I'm thinking of playing Endymion, Spellbook, Azamina, White Forest. Jesus. Would meta competitive if Dragoon wouldn't be banned? Is that a question? Would it be meta if Dragoon wasn't banned? I mean, I think that then just falls under the... Yeah, but I mean, like, it might be a draw on top of full Fiendsmith combo, but, like, yeah, I'm not gonna to say to anyone, go and spend £200 on Fiendsmith to draw, and then just do full Fiendsmith combo. It's like, what makes that version so much more special than just playing, like, any Fiendsmith version? Not Blue Eyes, but any Fiendsmith version deck. So, thoughts on Fiendsmith Beastial Buster Blader, Jesus, versus Blue Eyes Buster Blader. What? I don't even know that one. Also, if you want to get spicy, you can play one of the level 1 Light Fiend tuners so that you can search into Fiendsmith combo with the Blue Eye searchers. Yeah, that's not half bad. Should go that, search out one of the level 1 tuners. See, that's a bit more synergy. That's actually a lot better. That's spicier. But I still wouldn't pay 200 quid to do that. That's just... I mean, the issue with Fiendsmith engine is it doesn't actually, like, unless you go Unless you go on to, what do you do? Unless you, I've lost my train of thought. I just, yeah, to pay 200 quid to go Theme'smith engine just isn't worth it to me, in my opinion. Right, hang on. Thoughts on Theme'smith Beastial Buster Blader versus Blue Eyes Buster Blader? Well, I mean, instantly, because you're playing the Theme'smiths, your Theme'smith are going to be more versatile. Because one of the ones is like, okay, cool, I've stopped with your Buster Blader, fine, drop Theme'smith, off you go. Like, to me, that's just, it's not creative deck building. Now, it's creative deck building if you add a level 1 light theme tuner. That stuff's funny. I like that idea. But I still, like, if the Theme'smith engine was like 20 quid, I'd be like, yeah, go on, that's fun. Try that out for sure. But, yeah, it's so tricky. Thoughts on 1 Blue Eyes versus 2. Depending on the variant you are playing, I find that I need 2 quite often in my variants. I can't really think of a variant where I would want to play 1. So yeah, where else are we at? 15 to 16 next month release new ban list, and we get rarity 4 after, so use your money smart. Pretty much. Invoked seems like the way to go in Master Duel once we get the support until Primite. I haven't seen what the Invoked ban list is like for on Master Duel. If it's at full power, then yeah, definitely go for that one. I think that you could very easily play it. Like, I quite like it. I quite like the Invoked. I like the Invoked version in real life, to be honest. Ah, no. Sorry, I'm terribly multitasking while trying to catch up on all of these. Oh, where we at? Invoker said, it's not worth the 200 quid though, that's for sure, but you can get decent synergy. I mean, yeah, I like it's definitely, I think it's spicier when you say that level 1 tuner. So that's something where if it gets reprinted in Rarity Collection 4, Stampede, for example, and it all becomes supers, you'd be like, yeah, cool, pick that up, have a bit of fun with it. But yeah, I wouldn't invest that high up onto it. Theme'smith can work, but you need to add Beaver Warrior. What? Just for the sake of it. Invoke the way to go to get the best for your money. Yeah, agreed. I have a Buster Blader Blue Eyes, thanks to your video, and I add 1 Max Metal Morph and 1 Metal Morph Metal Dragon, just those 2. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's try and get back onto this one. Right, Horus cards. So, I need another category, because I'm not saying that it's not going to be competitive, but I feel that it would be competitive because the Horus cards carry it on its own. Go in second, you play the Horus cards, there's your aggression. But then I also feel you fall foul to Ashes, Drolls, everything like that can make it like a really bad contender. Like this to me is like this grey area. It's not value for money. It's way too expensive right now. It's one of the ones that if you've got it, you play it. And it's definitely more of a local contender. This one, this Light and Darkness one, I'm actually highly tempted by. I'm not going to lie. I definitely feel that right now it sits within the local contender element. But I want to cook with that one. I really do like that, actually. I really do like the idea behind it. I might have to cook. Let me have a look. Let me see where I'm at. Let me see where I'm at. Hold up. Let him cook. I've actually got a lot of videos that are coming out. Let me have a... Ah, no, come off the screen. There we go. So look, where we got? Okay, so coming up. Damn, we're on the 22nd of February already. I tried to get a Blue Eyes Duel done today, and that failed epically. Clear off my whiteboard, because I'm old school that way. Right, okay, so... we've got Primite, we've got Metal Morph. I've got my Invoked build, tier list, and Light and Darkness. I kind of want to put Centurions together as well, but I think that's probably going to like visually show you all how that works. I want to cook with the Light and Darkness one, so I'm putting it as a local contender. But I feel that if you cook correctly, it can very easily become competitive. And the best thing about it is, technically, you could... Because because it's only a 6-card engine, right? So it's a 6-card engine. You could add anything to it. You could play it in an invoked version, which is really cool. The only issue is it needs to be the last thing you do, which isn't that big of an issue either, really. I like it. I will have to cook with it, though. It's definitely a lot I want to do with it. How do you fuse the light and darkness one? So you play... Now, bear me 2 seconds, because I had the cards in front of me. So, Light and Darkness, Dragon Lord. So, you play Dragon's Light and Darkness, which lets you activate one of the effects, but you can only use the effect once per turn. So, you shuffle a level 8 Dragon monster from the hand into the deck, and if you do, you add a level 8 Dragon with a different attribute, so you get to search out the dark one. Or you target a Dragon monster you control and it gains attack. Or when a card effect is activated that targets a Dragon monster, you negate the effect. So, basically, you activate it, you put a Blue Eyes back into the deck, and you grab the dark one. And then you play the dark one, which is, if I can find it, there it is, Dark End Evaporation Dragon. So you play Dark End Evaporation Dragon. So you banish a level 8 dragon from your extra deck, special summon this card from the hand. You can't special summon for the rest of the turn except dragons, but you get to activate one of these effects. You fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. You can target one other attack position monster on the field. Make that card lose exactly 500 attack. So basically, you use the Dark End Evaporation Dragon. I feel it might dictate more stuff. Yeah, so it's 6 cards, 3 Dark Evaporation and 3 of the spell. But then you'd also add... You'd probably need to add a light dragon from the extra deck to send it. So... White Forest Blue Eyes is worth checking too, because Roselia can search Sage... or Maiden, and ending on Queen of the White Forest along with the other level 12 Synchro monsters make some nasty boards. Ooh. I mean, I'm trying not to, like, clog the channel down with Blue Eye stuff, but it seems to be, like, too many different bloody variants. I might have to look at that one. Drawing multiple Dragon's Light and Darkness is not bad because it also gives you protection negates and protective OTK. Yeah. Any voiceless synergy. Not direct synergy because they're all fairies. That's the issue. So you can't... Like, your synergy comes when you get to play a level 4 or lower Dark or Spellcaster. So... Okay, I'll have to check out the White Forest version. I've been wanting to try and build actual White Forest for so long. Like, I've got my White Forest build that I've had for ages, and I've wanted to update it with the new stuff that we got in Supreme Darkness. I just haven't had a chance to do it. So, anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up the recording, because I've pretty much finished the tier list. I'm going to wrap up the recording now. I'll stay around, and then I can talk you through, like, there's a lot of stuff that you guys want to talk about still, so I'll hang on for that. So, thank you so much for watching the live stream, or watching the pre-record of the tier list. Any questions at all, put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.